Hey, how's it going guys? Nate here, and by now you have probably already heard about Fallout 4's final DLC, Nuka World, set to release this August as the last DLC for the game's second phase of DLC, and as the game's altogether last DLC ever. Now, the second phase of DLC contains 3 items, 2 of which are workshop related that I've already covered, but the last one is Nuka World, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. Nuka World takes place in an old pre-war era amusement park that has since been taken over by a band of raiders. Alas, Bethesda didn't give us much more information at E3. They were quite secretive about this. However, an interesting thing to note here is that the DLC is already available for pre-purchase over on Steam and has the following description. Quote, take a trip to Nuka World, a vast amusement park now a lawless city of raiders. Explore an all-new region with an open wasteland and park zones, like Safari Adventure, Dry Rock Gulch, Kitty Kingdom, and the Galactic Zone. Lead lethal gangs of raiders and use them to conquer settlements, bending the Commonwealth to your will. Nuka World features new quests, raiders, weapons, creatures, and more. Enjoy the ride. Now this paragraph alone gives us a lot. We can deduct quite a bit from it. Firstly, as expected, Nuka World, like Far Harbor, will be adding an entire new region to the game, rather than just add new locations onto the already pre-existing map as Automatron did. Furthermore, the part that intrigued me the most was when it states that you can, quote, lead lethal gangs of raiders to conquer settlements. Now, if done right, I think a mechanic that features this would be pretty amazing. When Settlement Mode was first announced, I personally thought it'd be cool if there was a feature kinda like this, where you can capture settlements from other factions, and then have those factions try and capture your settlements right back. That said, most settlements in the game, now that it's released and we know, they only really have about 1 or 2 settlers each before you start building, so unless they add a bunch of new settlements that are well defended, or add better defenses to pre-existing ones, the battle for these settlements they're gonna be quite one-sided, if you will. But bouncing back off that idea of adding new settlements, perhaps Bethesda could turn pre-existing locations into settlements. For instance, areas like Gunners Plaza and maybe the Quincy Ruins could be transformed into their own settlements controlled by the Gunners, and then you'll have to try and capture them from the Gunners, and maybe they could do similar things all across the Commonwealth, add new settlements in like the Boston Ruins and have them controlled by raider gangs and whatnot. I think that is definitely something that could be done pretty well if it's executed properly. But either way, I think there's a lot of potential for this concept, and not to mention the possible mods that can spin off of this and build upon such a mechanic. I think there's a lot of room for potential here. Now, as far as pricing goes, Nuka World is the second most expensive Fallout 4 DLC, listed off Steam to be priced at $19.99. Interestingly enough, this is only $5 shy of Far Harbor, which was a pretty massive expansion. So, based off of pricing, while Nuka World may not be as big as Far Harbor, it looks like it could still be adding quite a bit of content that comes close, and is definitely going to be much larger than anything else, say Automatron again, for instance. Now, before I let you guys go, there's one more pretty interesting piece of information regarding Nuka World that I think you will find intriguing. So, what you're looking at on screen right now is a copy of a leaked document by Bethesda for their employees at E3 2014, mind you, 2 years ago. In this document, they list various things that they don't want their employees talking about or telling the attendees about. They want them to remain strictly secret about all these things listed. And it lists various things. Fallout 4, Elder Scrolls 6, which, trust me, that's going to get its own video in the future. But one of the things that you'll find interesting is it also lists Fallout Nuka World on this document. This is very, very interesting because 2 years ago, 1 year before Fallout 4 even came out, Bethesda had already conceptualized the idea of Nuka World. Now, it's unlikely it started production that far back. I'd imagine all they really had was a concept for it, but this is interesting because Nuka World is the last Fallout 4 DLC, right? So you'd imagine this would be the last one to have been completed, theoretically. Like Far Harbor and whatnot, those were all done first, so you'd imagine they would have also been conceptualized first, right? How come Fallout Far Harbor isn't listed here? How come Fallout Automatron, or Automatron, however you'd like to pronounce it, isn't listed here? And that's what intrigues me a lot. It's possible that Bethesda thought Fallout Nuka World was going to be its own independent game back then, and they already had the idea for it and whatnot, but later down the line they realized that it would blend better in as a Fallout 4 DLC, but I think that's quite interesting. Already 2 years ago, Bethesda had a concept for Nuka World, so I'd imagine that this DLC has had a lot of time to grow, and I'd imagine it's got quite a well-written storyline. But either way, if this DLC offers anywhere near as much content as Far Harbor did, as its price tag and all the time it's had in the developmental womb, so to speak, suggest, I will be pretty dang happy with this DLC. It looks exciting, and as I said before, it's got a lot of potential that I hope Bethesda can execute upon properly and make a damn good DLC out of. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like if you liked, dislike if you disliked, and hope to see you all in the next video. Peace, everybody.